Welcome to Rogue Media Network. You have a vision, and we can help you broadcast it. With over 150 podcasts distributed locally, nationally, and internationally, we pride ourselves in delivering high-quality professional content that's filled with humor, information, and entertainment. Are you an avid podcast listener? Discover relatable and reliable shows that cater to a plethora of tastes and interests. From enlightening discussions to lighthearted banter, there's something for everyone. And here's the best part. You can start your own show with Rogue Media Network. We specialize in providing a platform to amplify diverse voices and perspectives, making sure everyone gets a chance to be heard. So why wait? Tune into our podcast and explore a world of ideas and stories, or step up and let the world hear yours. Call us today at 254-300-7982. Visit us at roguemedianetwork.com or send us an email at hello@roguemedianetwork.com. Join the podcast revolution with Rogue Media Network today.
Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh, yeah.
I'm imitating Amanda imitating me. And all of us are in Santorini Skype group mode.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Dreaming of the beaches.
Yeah, you gotta entertain yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Only boring people get bored.
Yeah.
Smell the forsythia.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Kenyon.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hooked on a feeling.
Hooked on a feeling.
I have not set foot outside of my house in a week.
Luck.
It's
I had to go
not
get cat
great.
food today. Pick up my scripts.
Luck. Luck as
Luck.
Kenyon's eye twitches.
I need to do something about it. I need
Yeah.
Go for
I
a
need
walk.
to make it happen. Yeah.
Don't you walk your dog?
This week I haven't been. I mean, Zach has.
Mm-hmm.
The dog has been walked,
Just not by you.
but just not by me because of
Yeah.
like various appointments at typical dog walking time.
That's fine.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I took the trash out.
Nailed it.
That counts.
Winner, winner,
also-
chicken dinner.
There is a lot to be said about fresh air and sunlight.
I
I'm
know.
just saying.
I know. I think I need to do something about it. It's fine.
It's fine. You're
Let's
fine.
talk about murder.
Yes. Let's get
Okay.
to the good stuff.
So we have a very special fan pick this week brought to you by our very special fan picker, Ashlyn Pereira. Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
I
probably.
think so.
Probably.
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 Ashlyn has selected the topic of fucked up firsts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good one.
So, like, any case where it's the first of something. So, like, the first person to, be convicted of blank, or the first time this technique was used. Some
And
first.
Ashlyn requested that I do my own case, and I'm super fucking jazzed about it.
I'm jazzed to hear a case from you, too.
Me too.
And
flex my storytelling skills.
Yeah.
Also, now looking at the notes, it's making more sense what you texted to the group chat earlier, which was the very odd name of apparently who you're covering today.
Yeah, you did not understand my text because
I
I
didn't.
specifically addressed Lucy.
Yeah, you super didn't. You said Lucy. Whatever
Who are you
said.
covering
and
today?
Kenyon's
Just
like answered.
Double check that I'm not covering the same thing. Kenyon answered with who she's covering. And I was like, yeah.
I'm doing fine, you guys. My brain is
amazing.
doing fine.
Yeah. Who needs to go outside?
God. Okay.
Fine.
We're
Let's
good.
get to the alcohol. Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for fucked up first?
Well, our fan picker recommended Canadian whiskey today.
Ooh.
Apparently, they want to see us in pain. So I have looked up I literally just Googled Canadian whiskey cocktails and found something called the Canadian cocktail. I have no idea if this is an actual traditional cocktail of Canada. I just went with the first thing that I knew I could drink without vomiting.
Okay. It's a
And
good
that's
bar
what-
to clear.
Yep, that's what we're keeping expectations low. And something that I could make with what I have in my home and on my bar. So we are using the requested Devil's Brown Spit whiskey. I hate whiskey. I can't do brown liquor. It immediately gives me fucking heartburn, which is why I did a cocktail with it so that I could get through it.
The name of the whiskey is the Devil's Brown Spit.
No, I just call it that.
No, that's like why we call By Joe the Devil's Semen.
Okay.
It
got
just
it, got
is.
it,
Yeah.
got
It just is.
But the actual whiskey that I use is Crown Royal because I guess I didn't pay attention, even though it says it on the bottle that it's Canadian. Duh.
All right.
Duh.
And that's what I had in my bar, so that's what I went with. And the cocktail is made up of 1.5 ounces of Canadian whiskey, a 1/2 ounce of orange liqueur. So I always have Grand Marnier. That's like my favorite sipper. A 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. I actually did have a lemon from my Imperfect Foods box, so I used real lemon juice.
Score.
And a teaspoon of simple syrup, which is just sugar and water, so you can easily whip that up yourself. And 1 dash of bitters, which a long time ago, a friend of mine, hi James, you might be listening, made their own bitters and gave me a bunch of it, so I had a little bit on my bar.
Ooh.
And then all you do is you put it in a cocktail shaker filled with ice, you pour the whiskey, the liqueur, the juice, the simple syrup, and the bitters, you shake it, and then use the strainer to pour it into, it says an old-fashioned glass. I poured it into a mug because I'm classy.
And yesterday when we recorded, you poured your wine into a Salt Your Dead, which would have
I
been
know.
perfect for this.
Which means that's the only appropriate rocks glass I own, and it's dirty because I used it yesterday. So now I used a mug, so I was like, Canada.
Would you want this over ice? 'Cause Canada?
You shake it on ice, but you serve it without ice so that the ice doesn't melt in it and water it down.
Oh, okay.
So it's still served cold, but it's served like up.
I could picture it with like one of those, like an ice sphere.
Yeah,
like
you
one of
totally
those.
could do that
Like
if you
a
have like
big one.
yeah, and if you prefer it on the rocks, then fucking serve it on the rocks. Who cares? But I'm a really like slow cocktail drinker, so I actually like not having my drinks on the rocks. But and then I garnish it with a blood orange that also came in my Imperfect box.
Hell yeah.
And also
Cute.
today I learned that this is a horse and not a unicorn. I have had this mug for like 4 years and just always assumed it was a unicorn, but there's no horn on it.
I can't see it because of the Santorini background.
Because we're in Santorini. Oh, all
It's
right.
fine. All right. We'll take
Either
your word
way.
for it.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
I'm gonna squeeze this in, actually.
I like a whiskey cocktail.
You do.
It's
I'm
fun.
drinking mine out of a
Look at-
vintage nice pop.
Oh, that was the first version of the Nice Pop cup.
This is
One
like
of
a
our
good one.
deep first merch items.
Ooh, this blood orange is tasty.
All right. Well, cheers.
But Charles.
Cheers.
All right, Lucy, no background in psych. We got a case.
That's good. That's good.
Hit
Should
us
I
with
shake
it.
my bones?
Yeah.
Yeah, shake them.
I just gotta leave them out. I don't know why I ever put them away.
Woo!
Don't make me laugh when I'm drinking a whiskey cocktail.
It's good for your
This is
sinuses.
going to be a really rough episode.
It's antiseptic.
I had a dream that I was shipping a bunch of random shit to our merch team in New Jersey at All Colors. Shout out to Corey Hillman. And for some reason, I had like Lysol wipes in there. And they were like, you can't send these through the mail. They're flammable. I was like, how did I get them in the first place? I don't know.
I definitely
Lysol
didn't leave
wipes.
my house. They were definitely mailed to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone loves hearing about other people's dreams. Okay, here we go.
They do. Myself included.
Okay. So Ernest P. Pletch was born in 1910 in Frankfort, Indiana. His father, named Guy,
Guy.
he was just a guy. Guy
Oh.
Pletch.
Oh, no.
Wow.
He was a wealthy farmer and a county Republican legislator, and so the family had pretty good money. He wanted for nothing.
Okay.
As a teenager, Ernest Pletch was a pretty good mechanic. He's been described as like a genius at mechanics.
Okay.
So he liked to tinker with cars and tractors and invent some things rather than pulling his weight with farm duties, like kind of a brat, we'll just say.
A little tinkerer. He didn't like to do his chores.
He didn't like to do his chores. Yeah, he didn't like the manual labor business. He was also really into airplanes, as many interwar young men were around this time of Charles Lindbergh.
Charles Lindbergh, handsome airplane fascist.
Planeman.
Planeman fascist.
Fascist aeroplaneman.
Mm-hmm. So Pletch later said, quote, "I've always been crazy about flying. I would rather fly than eat." He was also reading a lot of books about airplanes and sort of starting to teach himself how to fly. He was just really fucking into it.
We didn't do the same case, but it's super funny that this is your case.
I'm glad we didn't do this.
We didn't.
Okay, good.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
In 1926, at the age of 16, while he was still in school, Pletch asked his father to buy him an airplane. As you do.
Okay.
No big deal.
Request received and ignored.
Yeah, that's when your parents are like, here's a kite. Can you
just go.
Be happy with what you have.
Yep.
Make sure to run real fast.
There's a hill over there.
To make her fly.
Judging from your farm duties experience,
I didn't want to do that.
A fucking plane.
So.
I'm sorry.
What's the craziest thing you ever asked for from your parents?
A microscope. I never got it.
Oh, you should have. That would have been. You should get yourself a microscope now.
Well, now I want a rock tumbler.
What?
I would rather have a rock tumbler now.
Agreed. I have a friend with a rock tumbler. He makes cool stuff.
I don't know what that is.
It you
Tumbles
put rocks
rocks.
in it and it tumbles them to make them smooth and shiny and reveal their colors and stuff.
Anytime you have a smooth rock like this or like this,
it's been through a rock tumbler.
This or like this,
or the ocean.
No,
but the ocean doesn't make it glossy like a rock tumbler does.
Well, you can't see me. We're in Santorini, but these are tumbled rocks.
Everyone's gonna think we're actually in Santorini.
We're not,
and that's on them.
It's the Skype
we're
background.
We're really not.
That's super on you if you think we're actually in Santorini.
I haven't gotten organic vitamin D in a long time. It is all in pill form. Okay.
That's fair. Okay, so justifiably, his father was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, not flat out no. He just said, you're going to have to finish high school before I buy you an airplane.
Okay.
And
if you get all A's,
then I'll buy you an airplane.
This was too much for Pletch. He got pissed. He dropped out of school. He married his girlfriend, and he ran away to join the circus.
Wow. What? Drama king.
Teenagers.
Wait. Well, he demanded an airplane, and when he didn't get one, he dropped out of school, married his girlfriend, and joined the circus?
Well, he didn't join the circus right away. And actually, it's not like technically a circus, but that was like too good of a sentence not to say.
Fair.
But his girlfriend was like 15 or 16 at the time. He definitely dropped out of school. He definitely married her, and he definitely ran away. And then he later joined something adjacent to a circus.
It counts.
It counts. So he spent about 9 years probably working as a mechanic, but he was definitely estranged from his family during this time. And no one really knows like what he was doing or where he was doing it in this time span. But it was about 9 years. Also, I couldn't find any word on what happened to his child bride, but at some point within this time, the two split up, which
it didn't work out when
Who
they got
knew?
married and she was
shocked.
15 and then he joined the circus.
It didn't work out?
Oh, no. Oh,
wow.
what a shame.
Wow.
You don't say.
I thought that love would last forever.
Color me shocked. So in early 1938, Pletch got a job with a traveling fair. Here we go, the circus. But keep in mind, this was like 9 years later. That happened to feature air shows and offer short plane rides to fairgoers.
Okay.
And here's a quote from Smithsonian Magazine. Quote, "This was no ordinary job, and Pletch was working with no ordinary fare. His employer was the Royal American Shows, an enormous traveling fun fair that toured through the United States and Canada for 9 months each year, billing itself both as, quote, the most beautiful show on earth, and as the proud possessor of the world's largest midway." So it's like a big traveling fair deal.
What is a midway? Just like the area where the fun fair exists?
The midway is where it's like the main thoroughfare where all the games and the people shouting are.
Okay.
Got it.
Food, games, stuff like that. The attractions that Pletch would have worked alongside include girly shows that featured the likes of Gypsy Rose Lee, not to be confused with Gypsy Lee Rose. Mm-hmm. When the fair traveled, it did so using its own special train, which at its peak consisted of almost 100 carriages. So it's like fucking big.
That is fucking big.
Just rumbling through North America.
Yep.
Putting people on airplanes.
Pitching tents wherever they pleased.
Dang.
He loved watching the pilots do their thing, and this only deepened his desire to fly airplanes. In 1938, he decided that he had learned all he could about flying from books and watching others fly planes. And so he took it upon himself to get some real hands-on experience. He returned to Frankfort, Indiana, his hometown, and in the middle of the night, he stole an airplane and safely flew it 75 miles. He says, quote, "It was the first time I had ever been at the controls. The boys said it couldn't be done. I took off in that plane at 3 o'clock in the morning and flew it to Danville, Illinois, and landed it in a 7-acre field." He didn't want to get right.
Literally.
He didn't want to get caught with the stolen airplane, so he continued flying another 155 miles to Vernon, Illinois, where he fully pretended to be a freelance pilot and offered lessons to paying customers.
So he just stole the airplane and made it his business now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did he know the airplane owner? He must have. If it was back in his hometown, he must have known.
He probably knew that this guy owned a plane and the plane would be in his barn and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But
wow.
The audacity, Harry Potter and the audacity of this bitch.
Of this Pletch.
Of this Pletch. I pledge allegiance to this Pletch. Of the United Pledge of Ameripletch.
They probably didn't know it was him because he hadn't been home in 9 years. You know?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll get to it, but the authorities are aware that this airplane was stolen. They had no idea who took it at this time. But things are going to fall apart at some point. Go figure.
They always do.
Yeah. So he's giving, he's a freelance pilot giving little lessons to, whoever. And one of his customers was...
He's flown it twice.
Yeah. Oh.
With no other hands-on training.
None.
The balls on this dude.
I can't.
Yeah. So one of his customers was a 17-year-old girl named Goldie Gherkin.
Love her.
She's amazing.
No notes.
Love everything about this.
I should also note here that Pletch was at this time going by the name Larry Thompson, and he also claimed he was 24 years old when in reality he was 29. So he's fully hiding from the authorities.
Yeah.
But also flying planes and
probably flirting with a 17-year-old when he's pushing 30.
Pletch's sketch.
Oh,
Pletch's sketch.
Pletch's sketch.
Pletch's sketch.
Because he is 29 and she is 17. So he quickly fell in love with Goldie.
Ish.
And
you didn't.
And the pair spent the next 5 days flying around and just smooching, falling in love, whatever.
I hate that journey.
It was an aerial romance.
Sitting in a plane.
Ish.
SMOOCHING.
Ick. Hate it.
On the 5th day of their romance, Pletch asked Goldie to marry him, and she refused. So he just dropped her off in a random field and flew away.
Okay, I super love her.
Just like, nah.
It's one of the articles was like he left her under a tree in a cow pasture and just flew away.
My
What
God.
a fucking piece of shit. But also, I love the fact that she just was like,
No.
I like the status quo
I have to wash my hair.
of the flying and the making out, but I don't need anything more.
Right.
Yeah, we have a good thing.
I'm
like,
good.
why ruin
Why
it?
complicate it?
Yeah.
Why complicate it?
Yeah.
I'm just like not really into labels.
Yeah. I love her.
I fucking love Goldie Gherkin. I
I
love
want
Goldie
to
Gherkin.
date a pilot. I don't want to marry a pilot.
Yeah, I don't want to be a pilot's wife.
No.
Yeah, I want to be a pilot.
It's not what I imagined for myself.
Also, like, just think of like how brave she must have been to like in the 30s at 17 be like, yeah, I'm going to learn to fly a plane. There were like 14 people that could fly planes at this time, and she was a woman.
We'll get to it.
I don't even know if she was really like all about learning how to fly. I think she just was like, ooh, there's a cute guy who's going to take me up in his plane.
Well, she was
And then
a
it was 5 days
customer.
later. Yeah. I mean, it's a very loose business plan that he had.
Right.
So meanwhile, Goldie's parents had been frantically searching for their daughter, and when she was finally found safe, they were so relieved that they declined to press charges against Pletch.
Mistake.
And actually,
Always Pletch charges.
yeah, and actually her mother said, quote, "The young man took such good care of our daughter."
No, he didn't. He abandoned her in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere where she didn't know where she was and she was alone.
It was
Yeah,
the 30s. I don't know.
Soups did not take good care of your
I'm not
daughter.
defending any of this.
Oh,
but that's
we know
what
you're
happened.
not.
Yeah. He
So
also
fortunately-
statutory raped your daughter with his
Yeah.
mouth, with his Pletch mouth.
Probably something. So fortunately, the cops had a different take on things, and Pletch was tracked down, arrested, and charged with theft for the airplane. He was then freed on bond to await trial, after which he was definitely going to be found guilty, so he was anticipating some jail time. That's important to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the theft of the airplane that he was flying that whole time, the one from Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
And the press got wind of this story and dubbed him the Flying Romeo.
So the press has always been garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, up until this point, all he's done is steal an airplane and have a romantic 5-day kidnapping sort of situation.
Of a child when he's almost
Cool.
30. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, like I said earlier, his first child bride sort of disappeared into the annals of history, but also somewhere in there, he had a second wife and also a second divorce. It's kind of hard to keep track because this dude is extremely slippery and he tells a lot of lies. Plus, it was the 30s, so
Yeah.
The
You just
60s.
make
We just
up
don't really
different
know.
names.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no database of anything. So it
Right.
was just like, yeah, I know that guy.
Oh, Larry Thompson, Ernest Pletch, same guy? Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can be almost certain, though, that while he was out on bond, he rejoined the Royal American shows, and that it was the carnival that took him to Missouri, where in September 1939, he married Frances Bales of Palmyra, Missouri. So wife number
Another
3.
child bride.
Wow.
No, I don't think she was a child, but still, I mean, this is his third wife, and he's like 29, maybe 30 years old.
Right.
So we think that she met him at the fair, but regardless, they quickly married, and she left him just a few days after their wedding.
Wow.
Some reports say that he tried to rob her and she ran away, but regardless, she left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Maybe a little bit of an annulment there, hopefully.
Well, technically, yeah, no, I don't think. I mean,
Technically, no. Okay.
in the 30s, I don't no. About a month after she left, he borrowed a car to go search for his missing wife. Pletch ended up in Brookfield, Missouri, where he met a pilot named Carl Bivens.
Isn't Bivens the name of the
Blevers.
Blevers, okay, the roommate's boyfriend.
Bevers.
Bevers.
Oh, Bevers, yeah.
Bivens, Bevers.
It's all the same.
What a great character, though.
I love Bevers.
To complete Kedion's sentence, it's the Abby's roommate's boyfriend in Broad City, and I just cut her off because I knew what she was going to say. This is Bivens, that's Bevers.
Got it.
And there's a picture of Bevers or Bivens on the drive. There's a picture of him on the drive standing in front of his airplane, and he just looks like a normal dad dude. He's so nice.
With odd posture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bivens was 39 years old, and he had a wife named Etta and 2 sons. I don't know the first son's name, but the other son was named Russell. So Bivens was offering flying lessons in a yellow Taylor Club monoplane that he had borrowed from a friend. I also have a photo, which will be on the blog, of the airplane, so you can kind of have a picture in your mind of what this plane looks like. On either October 27th or 28th, I have conflicting reports, kind of bizarre considering what happened on this day. In 1939, Pletch asked Bivens to give him some advanced flying lessons because, after all, he's a professional fucking pilot. I only want advanced lessons. So this
Fucking guy.
I know, he's got some balls. This also just so happened to be the week before Pletch was due in court for that theft of that first airplane, for which he was out on bond.
So he's out on bail, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep flying. So
I just want these professional lessons.
Yep. So Pletch and Bivens had 2 lessons in a row, but the weather was really perfect. It was a beautiful day, very clear skies. So Pletch asked for a 3rd lesson that same day in the late afternoon. They took off at about 4 p.m. So they were sitting in this tandem training plane. So Pletch was in the back seat. Bivens was in the front seat. Both seats had controls, so it was kind of like a driver's ed car.
Okay.
So you could fly from either seat, but I think the front seat would probably take over if needed.
It would like override if the back seat was fucking up.
Yep. So after about 40 minutes, when they reached 5,000 feet, without warning, Pletch pulled a .32 revolver from his front overalls pocket and shot Blevins in the back of the head.
What?
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Quote, Carl was telling me that I had a natural ability and that I should follow that line, Pletch later confessed to prosecutors in Missouri. I had a revolver in my pocket, and without saying a word to him, I took it out of my overalls and I fired a bullet into the back of his head. He never knew what struck him. The ship, meaning the airplane, the ship began to pitch and then to dive. It went crazy, and I remembered reading about a dying man stiffening at the controls. And then I fired another shot into the back of his head. So he shot him twice in the back of his head. And according to him, the second shot was to kill him completely so that his body would stop like seizing and fucking up the controls so he could pull the airplane out of a nosedive.
This is so crazy. Why did he shoot him in the first place?
I am shook.
Yeah. It's so bizarre and unwarranted.
Is this the first airplane
shooting?
The hostile
hijacking?
The story I'm telling you now is the first fatal airplane hijacking in the world, but also the first airplane hijacking in the U.S.
I mean, of course, both of those things would just be like some shitty white guy in the United States.
Yeah, just some fucking sociopath white guy.
Like, I'm so not surprised by that at all.
Well, there's also people who can afford airplanes.
Right.
In only very few countries at this time, so.
Yeah.
That is
just
fucking nuts.
Just because he wanted to fly the plane or he wanted to own this plane now?
Because he's so self-centered, he's never been told no and been able to accept it. Like, remember, he asked his dad to buy him an airplane, and his dad said, not now. And he was like, fuck you, I'm out, and then I'm going to eventually go steal one. I'm going to pretend I'm a pilot. I'm going to marry whoever the fuck I want. I'm going to go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Wow.
He's insane.
Yeah.
So Pletch then, like I said, managed to straighten out the plane at about 1,500 feet. So he was in a nosedive for a ways.
Yeah, he almost fucking crashed.
Quite dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he landed the aircraft in a cow pasture near Cherry Box, Missouri. He pulled Bivens. I think I spell it differently like 4 different times. Bivens. He pulled Bivens' body out and dumped it in a nearby thicket after taking Bivens' watch and several $100s.
That would also be so fucking hard to solve if, like, it's 1939 and there's just this totally unidentified man's body in a thicket in an area that he has no connection
Business
to.
being, yeah.
I mean, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to it. The fact that Bivens was a straightforward, legit pilot offering lessons, other people must have seen him giving lessons to Pletch on this day in that particular airplane because it didn't take him very long to find him.
Right. The airplane part would be easier to solve, but just finding that body.
Yeah.
Finding the body. Yeah, they found the body actually really quickly, but they also had like search parties spread out over like the entire surrounding counties.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they hadn't actually gone that far because their lessons were kind of taking them in the same general area.
Okay.
They were just lessons, so they were probably staying within like a few miles, you know?
Right.
Okay, so he dumped the body. He took off again, heading toward his hometown of Frankfort, Indiana. He stopped and spent the night somewhere in a barn between where he was and his hometown, and then he took off again in the morning. He initially said that he was just going to fly over his parents' house to, quote, wave at them, but later said, quote, I flew to Frankfurt with the intention of smashing the plane into the side of my father's barn, but I lost my nerve.
Whoa.
So he claims that initially this was sort of a suicide mission. He was just it was like a final fuck you to his dad.
Wow.
Was he
Crashed
just
this airplane into his barn.
unraveling because this third wife, not blaming her, she clearly did the right thing, but because this third wife left him after a couple days and he was like, no one can say no to me. I'm going to kill someone and steal a plane and smash it into my father's barn.
Maybe. I don't have a lot of insight into like what was going on in his head, but just, I mean, we can speculate further at the end because things continue to get weird. Like
of course
up
they
until
do.
the very end.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't know that it was so much like a revenge in terms of his wife. He seemed to kind of come by a wife every few years and just
God.
They grow on trees.
He had a lot of wives.
He had the court case pending. That's probably what it was.
He did have
I forgot about that.
He had the court case pending and he didn't want to go to prison, so he was trying to escape. And then he was like, but I could give my dad the big middle finger. But then like he didn't end up doing that either.
Okay.
Wow.
So he ended up flying across Indiana with no clear direction until it started to get dark, and he knew he had to land soon because he couldn't fly that plane in the dark. He ended up landing in a pasture belonging to Meredith Dillman in Clear Creek, Indiana. 6-year-old Bobby Joe Logston and his 7-year-old brother Jimmy heard the plane, and they got really fucking excited because they too were obsessed with airplanes. It was just like this early 20th century
scene in Pearl Harbor with Josh Hartnett and what's his name?
They're all pointing to the sky.
Affleck.
They love airplanes. And I do have a picture of Bobby and Jimmy and their family. It was just really cute. So it kind of gives you an idea of the times. So now 76 years old, Bobby recalls, quote, my brother and I were crazy about aviation. I never saw or heard an airplane fly that low before, and it was real exciting. But something even more exciting was about to happen.
Okay.
I heard the pilot cut his engine, and then he landed in the field right behind our house. Jimmy and I wanted to go over there and just touch the pilot, but our father wouldn't let us go.
Oh, well, yeah.
They just got so excited.
Yeah.
He just wanted to touch the pilot.
Oh, my God.
Come on, Dad.
Let us touch the pilot.
No, honey, no.
By the time the plane like landed and stopped, there were quite a few people gathered when Pletch hopped out of the plane, and they saw that the front of his overalls were covered in blood. He told them that he had just gotten a nosebleed from the altitude.
Okay.
Which, like, who...
Well,
I
at
would
the time,
buy it.
they
wouldn't
don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. He asked if there was somewhere nearby to get something to eat, so a group of older boys led him downtown to the Williams and Wampler General Store.
How is this?
Names make no sense in this whatever universe we used to exist in.
I know. Williams and Wampler. And this general store had a hot bar in the back where they could sell like burgers and sandwiches and coffee and sodas and stuff like that.
I also feel like there was always a group of older boys.
Right.
There were like
Always, yeah.
two younger boys named Jimmy and Bobby.
Yep.
And then a group of older boys that actually got to do the cool stuff, and Jimmy and Bobby were devastated.
Yep. Jimmy and Bobby had to be home for dinner.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So by now, the police were looking for Pletch. Like I said, they knew he was in a small yellow airplane, and they had sent out bulletins like across the state. This might be my favorite part. Bertha Manor, or maybe Maynor, age 54, was the town's switchboard operator. And you don't
she
fuck
knows
with a small
everything.
town
Yeah.
switchboard operator.
She knows fucking
knows-
everything.
She's an oracle. She fucking knows what's going on.
She's got the tea.
Yep.
My grandma was a switchboard operator.
That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
I have
This tracks.
Fabulous photo of her just at her little desk with her big hair. Oh my God. So good. So she heard this bulletin, or she heard something on the radio, and she also heard from her switchboard shit. There was a yellow plane that landed like a few blocks over. So she immediately called the police and had the police called down to Williams and Wampler General Store.
I'll never recover from Williams and Wampler. I won't
Wampler.
recover.
Call over at Womp's place.
Yeah. Head down to Womps.
Okay, so this is as Bobby, again now 76, at the time 6 years old. This is his recollection, quote, "The phone rang and Bill Wampler answered it," because of course Wampler is the family owned. The deputy on the phone instructed Bill to say only yes or no in response to his questions.
I would fail at that so hard.
Yeah. Oh, this guy was so fucking smooth. This is the best. So the deputy asked if the pilot was there. Bill says yes. Then if Bill could stall him, but not to do anything foolish because the man was dangerous. Because again, the police knew that he had a .32 caliber pistol on him. Bill was frying the hamburgers for the pilot. He was a nervous, jittery kind of guy, but he just scooted the burgers over to the cool part of the grill so they wouldn't cook so fast. Therefore, biding some time.
Like it. I like it.
I thought that was so smart. I would
Soup's Club.
lose my gourd. I wouldn't be able to do
I
that.
would not be very cool in that situation. I'd be like,
No.
yeah, he's here. Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
When are the cops coming? I'm scared.
I would try so hard and fuck it up so quickly.
Yeah.
He's in the room right now. I'm looking right at
Do you
him.
want to talk to him?
Here he is. There he
there's
goes. Here
blood
he
all
is.
over his overalls.
Here
You
comes
mean-
the boy.
You mean the bloody guy with the gun?
Got him on the line.
God.
I'm grilling his burger right now. You want to talk to him?
Extra
So-
onions.
Ugh. So within minutes, police had surrounded the store and Pletch calmly gave himself up. This is a quote from Bloom magazine, which I think is Bloomington, Illinois magazine, because
Okay.
Clear Creek was right outside of Bloomington, Indiana, not Illinois, Indiana. Quote, "After his arrest, Pletch was held at the Monroe County Jail where he denied shooting Bivens, although the .32 caliber revolver he carried was the same type of gun as the murder weapon.
Also, you're the only other person in the airplane with him, bruh.
Yeah.
He tested out a bunch of different bullshit lies before eventually confessing, but so he then concocted a story that he and Bivens had agreed to steal the plane and fly to Mexico in order to test Pletch's invention of extremely high-efficiency aviation fuel.
Yeah,
because
Bivens
again, Pletch was
owned
like,
the airplane,
It was
though.
for science.
well, Pletch was like big into mechanics and whatever, and he was like a self-described inventor, and this will kind of come back in a little bit too. So he fancied himself a whole lot of things, and an inventor was one of them.
Right. But also, Bivens doesn't need to steal his own airplane.
Right.
Well, his friend's airplane, but yeah.
Right.
He claimed that he shot Bivens in self-defense during a midair fight after Bivens tried to back out of the plan. And keep in mind,
That's not
the way
self-defense.
that this tandem
Keep in
airplane
mind.
situation, like, Pletch is directly behind Bivens. There's no way that Bivens would be like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm going to overtake you from 180 degrees behind me in a tiny fucking airplane.
It makes no sense.
No. So, like, this was obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
So that story was later discounted by Missouri police and, like, logic. From Bloomington, Pletch was quickly transported to Indianapolis, where his parents were allowed to see him. His mother told him, try to make your peace with God. That's the only thing left.
Oh, his parents were over it.
Cold as ice. Holy shit.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, my mom's been mad at me before, but whoa.
She's
Yeah.
never been try to make your peace with God, mad at
God,
you.
mad. Yeah.
Because that's the only thing left.
Oh.
It's real brutal.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
he was turned-
fair, but
Oh, totally fair. He was turned over to Missouri officials and went on trial for theft and first-degree murder. Evidently, he told one of the prosecuting attorneys, quote, I just don't know why I killed him, but I did.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
throughout this trial, there's like a whole lot of hubbub about jurisdiction in this case in particular because it took place in an airplane and no one could be certain, not even Pletch, because he didn't have any experience with like navigation. So
Right.
nobody knew over which county the murder took place. They couldn't even be 100% sure what state it took place over.
okay.
So like this was also one of the first trials where like airspace jurisdiction was sort of
yeah.
brought up.
That makes sense.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Weird.
So
Wow.
nevertheless, Pletch pled guilty and was convicted for theft and first-degree murder. Etta Bivens, so the pilot's wife, however, literally saved Pletch's life. She made him promise never to seek a
Pletch.
pardon.
She made him Pletch.
To never seek a pardon or parole in exchange for asking the judge not to give him the death penalty.
That's very
So
nice
she's
of
like-
her, but I would not fucking trust this man to uphold that deal.
Well, I think it was like a court
Or like a
sealed,
public,
like-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a legal thing. It was life without the possibility of parole or pardoning. Pletch began serving his life sentence just 5 days after Bivens' murder. But here's the last twist. Poor Etta did not intend for what happened next.
Oh, please don't tell me she married him.
No.
Thank God. Okay. Oh, why are you saying it like that?
Oh, I don't like this.
Here we go. First of all, while in prison in 1948, remember, he's the self-proclaimed inventor. Pletch was granted a U.S. patent for an invention called traction increasing device for dual wheel vehicles. So he invented shit while he was in prison, which
Okay.
seems unfair to me. It's even more unfair. Pletch was released for good behavior after less than 20 years behind bars. Yeah, so he was released in 1957.
After just shooting a man in cold blood.
Yeah.
For good behavior.
I don't get it. Just because you behave well in prison doesn't mean you're going to behave well out of prison.
Nope,
You know
it's
what I mean?
bullshit.
It's just this.
bullshit.
We've said it before. Like the sentencing should just be
What
transparent.
it is. Yeah.
Like it should just be like if you think that 20 years is an appropriate amount of time for his crime, then he should be sentenced to 20 years. And then like it should just. Why are we always finagling?
I don't
We
know.
don't need to
I
make
don't
it
get
harder than it already is.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So records show that he purchased a new ranch-type house on Lake of the Ozarks, and more egregiously, you guys are going to scream, He worked as a fucking pilot for Cox Aviation after his release.
This is like fucking, I feel like we always come across cases like this where it's basically Frank Abagnale from Catch Me If You Can.
Yep. With murder.
With murder. Yeah, at least that guy didn't fucking kill anybody.
Oh my fucking God, how was he allowed to be a pilot?
I don't know.
He's that good.
He was never actually a pilot.
No, he never was. Never.
Did he have to at least get his pilot's license? Or were they just like, yeah, you've flown before. He went to jail for it.
I mean,
remember?
Pardon the pun, but he flew so under the radar after his release that it took like a special investigation. And this information I took from that Smithsonian Magazine article because I trust it. This is the only article that said he didn't die in prison. Everybody else assumed that he did because of his sentencing. But there are records that he was released for good behavior in 1957 and that he did X, Y, and Z after he left.
The fuck?
So he also married a woman named Mary Leap the day after Christmas in 1973. He died in June 2001 and is buried in Camdenton, Missouri, next to yet another wife named Avis. So he had at least 4 wives.
5.
Possibly more. He left behind a total of 16 grandchildren and 22 great-grandchildren. And that is the story of the first airplane hijacking in the U.S. and the first ever fatal airplane hijacking in the world.
That is nuts.
Wow. That was a wild ride.
Can you
Yeah.
even?
Thanks for landing it safely home.
Ha ha.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Oh, my
That was a
burps.
doozy.
That was a doozy.
I found it and I was like, oh, this could be interesting. And then I kept reading 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 and I kept reading. I was like, oh, God.
That was fucking
That's
good.
nuts. Yeah.
Shyamalan twist.
Yeah. All right. Well done. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors and then we'll do another case.
Let's
All
do
right.
it. So I've had acne my whole life.
From the womb.
From the, like literal baby acne into your 30s acne. And there are so many things I just did not understand about skin, about like my acne is mostly hormonal around my period. I'll have like really nice clear skin in between. I also did not understand how much your skin changes with like seasons, with age, with hormonal changes. It's all a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to juggle. And ever since I discovered and gave myself over to Curology, my breakouts have been so much fewer and farther between. It's amazing. And I feel like approaching my menstrual cycle is not as much of a doomsday prepper situation as it once was.
We all love our Curology. So Curology is a game-changing custom skincare made for you by a dermatology provider. They'll create a custom prescription cream for your specific goals, whether that's tackling acne, clogged pores, skin texture, dark spots, fine lines, or something else.
Dryness.
All of it.
Ugh.
You'll start by taking a short online skin quiz and uploading photos, and if it's a good fit, they'll ship your formula right to your door. It even has your name on the bottle.
It's amazing.
It's legit. It's it's specifically for you. So the quiz takes just a couple of minutes, and it wasn't until I was doing the quiz I was like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more issues with my skin than I even realize.
Yep.
And they sent me this bottle. I've been using Curology for, I think, over 2 years now. And I get compliments on my skin, like, kind of regularly. Like, just the other day, somebody asked me what moisturizer I use.
Yeah.
And I told her Curology, honey. And now she's on the train. She loves it. I love the moisturizer. It's so light. It's kind of like a gel, sort of.
Yeah. I have 2 different ones. There's like a day moisturizer for under your makeup and a night one. It's amazing.
It's just so lightweight. It does not clog. It keeps my skin really moisturized, even in the wintertime when it is so dry here in the upper Midwest. And then every once in a while, you send progress pictures to that dermatology provider and they can be like, oh my gosh, this is working, or maybe we could switch to this, or blah, blah, blah. And it's made specifically for you. It could not be better. We are in love with it. You've got to try it.
Yes, you do. So get started with Curology just like we did with a free 30-day trial at Curology.com/gals. Just pay $5 for shipping and handling. That's CUROLOGY.com/gals. To start your free 30-day trial, you can cancel anytime, prescription subject to consultation, and treat your skin.
Treat it. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. What could be better? You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that is why it is America's #1 meal kit.
It's seriously so great. I love it. You can warm yourself up from the inside out when it's like, it's March, but it's still very cold here. They have limited time recipes inspired by cozy classics from around the world like beef tenderloin and cheese fondue. Or miso, sesame, shrimp, and bacon ramen.
Yes, please.
Things I would just never think to make myself. Like, by the time I'm hungry, I'm too hungry to think about what to cook. That's why HelloFresh is so amazing. And another thing I love about HelloFresh is they offer the flexibility you need to easily customize your order online or in the app. So you can easily change your delivery day, your food preferences, your plan size. You can skip a week whenever you need to. Like, it's incredible. They have such a huge array of recipes. You're never going to get sick of it. It's not like they're sending you the same stuff every week, every month. You're not going to get stuck in a rut. And I am famously a bad cook.
There is video evidence of this.
There's video evidence of this. I recently did a live of making one of the HelloFresh recipes like that I've made a couple times before, because once you get the kit, you can recreate some of your favorites. It's awesome. So I did the meatloaf balsamico, which it's so good with the mashed potato, the mashed sweet potato, green beans. It's like a lovely, healthy, rounded meal with a starch, a vegetable, and a meat. And one of my favorite things about this is that, like, I love meatloaf, but I also always overcook my portions. Like, I make food that's too big for just me and my partner. Mm-hmm. And so what I love about this meatloaf recipe is that it's 2 individual, like, single portion little meatloaves that you make.
They're mini loaves.
They're little mini loaves. So again, it way reduces the waste. It's reducing the space taken up in my fridge with leftovers that I'm, like, never gonna eat. It's just, HelloFresh is a miracle, and I love it.
They have such beautiful, I want to say complicated. They seem complicated recipes, but they are so not intimidating when you sit down to make them. Ugh, we love them.
Yes.
So go to HelloFresh.com/gals16, that's GALS16, and use code GALS16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. One more time, go to HelloFresh.com/gals16 and use that code GALS16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. And treat your cooking.
Treat it.
Are we ready for a very different case?
Oh, yes. I guess. Yeah. What choice do we have?
And now for something completely different.
Yeah. Mary Elizabeth Surratt, née Jenkins, was born in either 1820 or 1823. What's a 3-year discrepancy?
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's fine.
In Waterloo, Maryland. Her parents were Archibald and Elizabeth Ann, and she had 2 brothers, John Jenkins and James Jenkins.
David Booter or whatever.
John
David Booter.
From Done Disappeared. Mary's father died when she was very young, and I already feel like I'm doing a dollop episode because the first 3 sentences of like any dollop episode, the
so
parents die.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And her mother inherited the property that her family lived on, and this land had once been part of a massive, like 35,000 acre tobacco plantation called His Lordship's Kindness.
Dang, ew.
Which is like total horror movie fodder.
I don't like that at all.
Hate that.
Yeah.
Of a tobacco plantation.
Yeah.
Ish.
No.
But the property had been subdivided and sold as smaller parcels, still tobacco farms, but just not one massive plantation after one of the owners fell into debt. So they're still growing tobacco, and Mary's family enslaved 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of enslaving in this.
Great.
It's Maryland in the mid-1800s.
Right.
So when Mary was a teenager, her mother enrolled her in a Catholic boarding school called the Academy for Young Ladies in Alexandria, Virginia, despite the fact that neither of her parents were Catholic. So that was a choice. And within 2 years of enrolling in the school, Mary converted to Catholicism, and she was baptized with the new name Maria Eugenia. I'm still going to just call her Mary because that's annoying. Mm-hmm. And she would remain a devout Catholic for the rest of her life, who still chose to enslave people.
Mm-hmm.
Also a choice.
That is what Jesus would want. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she left the Academy for Young Ladies in 1839 after it shut down. She was either 16 or 19.
This bitch.
And soon after, she met John Harrison Surratt. So Surratt had been orphaned as a child, but he was adopted by a wealthy landowning and enslaving couple named Richard and Sarah Neal, and they fully adopted him, and he stood to inherit an equal share as their biological children from their estate.
Wow. I feel like that was not very common. It's like
Back
if you were
then-
adopted, you took a back fucking seat.
Yeah, back then I think so too. Yeah, so that is interesting that happened. Some historians have described his background as questionable, and he definitely fathered at least one child out of wedlock before meeting Mary and settling down with her, although he did not settle down. But I feel like, that was also par for the course back then.
Sure.
Men just fathered children, and then the women...
Sired.
Yeah, the women that begot those children were
Picked
just...
up the fucking pieces.
Yeah, were just ruined and left abandoned. It's fine. So the two married in 1840. Surratt even converted to Roman Catholicism before the wedding so that they could be married in a Catholic church, which is what Mary wanted. So that's pretty rare. Usually the woman converted back then. John purchased a mill property in Oxon Hill, Maryland, and the couple moved there. And they soon had 3 children, Isaac, Anna, and John Jr. But then John's adoptive parents fell ill and they died in quick succession, and they left the majority of their farm property to him. He and Mary and the kids moved to his childhood home because it was bigger and nicer, and he had to take care of this farm. Mm-hmm. Soon, though, there was tension in the marriage because
You don't say.
John was drinking more and more, and he also was struggling to pay some debts. I don't know if that's because he sucked at farming or if it was because he was drinking and gambling. I don't know.
Column
Maybe
A,
all of the
column
above.
B. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was often violent towards Mary and the kids.
Great.
So in 1851, the Neal farmhouse where they had been living burned to the ground. And actually, it's suspected that an escaped enslaved person was the arsonist.
That'd be dope.
Fuck yeah.
I hope so.
No,
Burn it the fuck down.
that's it can't be proven, but that
It's canon,
is the
basically.
theory. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I like that theory, so let's just go with it.
yeah. And it fucking shows you how they treated the people that they were enslaving, that someone took the risk after they had successfully escaped
To come
back and burn the motherfucker to the ground.
Yeah.
Wow.
So these were not nice people.
Jesus.
After the fire, John found work for a railroad company, and Mary took the kids to live with a relative of hers. She was like, fucking, do you just handle your shit? I'm done with you. So they're separated, but she's super Catholic, so they're not officially divorced. Soon he purchased another property where he planned to construct a tavern and an inn, because it's always great when an alcoholic owns a tavern. Mm-hmm. And he tried to persuade Mary to join him, but she refused.
Yeah. I'm good.
No, honey.
No.
Honey, no.
So then she tried to move back into some of this other property that they owned because she was sick of living with her sister. But then he had to sell that property to pay off his fucking debts. So then she had nowhere else to go. So then she had to move back in with him.
She forced him to name the tavern Lachelle's, and then she moved in. Or I guess Mary's.
That makes it sound like your marriage isn't great when actually it's idyllic.
It's fine.
Quite
I
good.
didn't ask for that.
So John was soon making enough money from running the tavern that he was able to build an addition onto it, which he named Surratt's Hotel. And then when they moved into this area, there wasn't really much there beforehand. And suddenly there's a tavern and a hotel. And it wasn't even like officially incorporated as a town yet. And now they own the two most prominent businesses. So they just named it Surrattsville and made it a town.
Okay.
So was this poor planning or?
No, it was good planning. I mean, it's just how life was back then. They were like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to create our own town and name it after us.
Oh, great.
So John kept starting businesses. He really liked to start new businesses. He didn't like to run them.
Great. I feel that. Let's go.
So soon he owned every business in town, but he had huge debts. Like he just kept taking out loans, I think, and buying businesses and naming them after himself and then fucking them up.
Moving on.
So they sent their kids to boarding school, but they're always in debt. He sells a lot of land. He sells people that they had enslaved and people that he had like literally inherited from his enslaver parents.
Ew.
And in 1858, Mary wrote a letter to her priest confessing that John was, quote, drunk every single day. And then
Not
came,
good for owning businesses.
and then came the Civil War.
Oh, good.
So Maryland actually remained part of the Union, but the Surratts, as enslavers, were Confederate sympathizers.
That was my question. I would think Maryland is far enough north where it wasn't like a huge.
I think it was kind of like Kentucky, where ideologically it was pretty split, but it stayed in the Union.
Okay.
Or was it split in half? I don't know. Whatever. All you need to know is that their area is Union, but they're Confederate sympathizers.
Gotcha.
So their tavern and hotel became a safe haven for other Confederate sympathizers and was used as a safe house for Confederate spies.
Okay.
And then the Surratt children, who had grown up a little bit at this point, became involved in the war as well. So their son Isaac traveled to Texas and joined the Confederate Army. And John Jr. became a courier for the Confederate Secret Service, which was a job that entailed smuggling messages and resources back and forth across enemy lines. So he's like fully fucking spying.
He's like Rolf.
Rolf?
Sound of Music.
Yeah.
He wasn't undercover, but he was like delivering messages.
Yeah. Yeah. So the concentration of Confederate activity, though, in Surrattsville eventually drew the attention of the Union government. Like they weren't sneaky enough about it. And upon further investigation, they found evidence of a large Confederate courier network operating out of the town, and they were fucking shut down.
Wah, wah.
And then in 1862, John suddenly died of a stroke.
Oh, well.
And, yeah, he lived hard.
Yep.
So he left the family, unsurprisingly, with a financial nightmare, just a quagmire of unpaid debts, angry creditors, businesses that like she didn't even fucking know that they owned. He had sold off most of his inheritance already.
Ugh.
The whole thing.
Normally, I love a quagmire, but this one just seems messy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have any sympathy for her, and we will get to it.
This quagmire seems especially messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a back seat on this quag.
I don't want to be mired in this quag.
Right.
No. I'm over this quag.
This is not it.
So for a time, John Jr. supported the family with the income that he earned from his job as postmaster of Surrattsville, which he was mainly like his cover for being a spy. But then they fucking found out that he was spying and they fired him. So then there's no income coming in. Yeah, he was trying to Rolf and he Rolfed too hard
You gotta Rolf before you can run.
Yeah,
we've all Rolf.
Rolf the bed.
So tired of running the tavern and the inn on her own, and also at this point, most of the family's remaining enslaved people had fucking bounced because they were in Union territory. And while they weren't technically emancipated yet for another 2 years, they still were like, I see a chance to get the fuck out of here. And like, you suck and we're leaving. So she's dealing with the creditors. She doesn't have any help. And she's sick of it. So she leaves Surrattsville and moves to their townhouse in Washington, D.C., which was like the last property that they still owned. And she leases out the tavern to a policeman and a fellow like Confederate. And she places an ad in a D.C. newspaper that she's renting out rooms in the townhouse that she's moving to make income. So she's becoming like a landlady. In November of 1864, a man named Louis J. Weichman moved into one of those DC rooms that she's renting out. And he is an old friend of her son's from boarding school. And he's also a Confederate agent, spy, whatever. So the whole townhouse very quickly becomes another like Confederate spy ring safe house.
Okay.
And this group, of which John Wilkes Booth, ever heard of him?
Oh, no.
Would become the most well-known member, would have numerous meetings at the townhouse, and that is part of where they hatched their elaborate and very stupid plot to attempt to kidnap President Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, God.
So, like, today's term, like Gavin McGinnis would have been in this boarding house. And
Yeah. It's like the Proud Boys Clubhouse.
Joe Rogan and whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So she is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This woman.
Ew, God.
Yeah. And she's fighting the gazpacho.
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 She meant Gestapo, and she
we
said
know.
gazpacho.
I know. And then
Oh my God.
What a fucking idiot.
what's his name? Stabler, the actor played Elliot Stabler.
Oh,
on
yeah.
He had a really funny tweet about it
With
where
the
he
butt?
said with the hot butt, with the cake.
Senor Hot Butt.
With the cake.
He said something about
Senor Cake Plate.
He said something about it's the DC jail isn't the DC gulag, it's the DC goulash.
Yes. I love it. Love.
I'm sorry. If you're going to be
That's
so
good.
publicly stupid, don't be that publicly stupid.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
God.
Be as dumb
you
as
can't
you
make
want
this-
if you're not in the
That
public
dumb.
eye.
You can't make this shit up. Oh my God.
Anyway.
Gazpacho.
Gazpacho.
So good.
So,
Holy shit, that's dumb. Holy shit.
okay, so
That is dumb.
they're cooking up this plot in the townhouse to kidnap the president. And part of the plot, John Jr., along with 2 other conspirators, hid weapons, ammunition, and other supplies at the tavern in Surrattsville. So she still owns the tavern, but she's not running it day to day.
Okay.
But this attempt was a failure, and in response to the failure, the group escalated their plan from kidnapping to murder. So basically, they couldn't fucking make it work, so then they decided to try even harder.
Be quicker and easier to just kill him.
So Booth wanted to kill Lincoln himself, and eventually would. And the plan was for him to do so while one of these other conspirators killed the vice president, Andrew Johnson, and another member of the group killed the Secretary of State, William Seward, all at the same time. So they wanted it to be this coordinated attack.
Yeah, like a insurrection of sorts.
Yeah.
It's like sounding a little familiar.
Wouldn't you know?
But
Hang
they
Mike
weren't all
Pence.
at like the theater, right?
No, that's why it would have to be like coordinated.
Okay.
You know, like that terrible TV show where they blow up the Capitol. Designated Survivor. Anyway. Booth, as we know, actually carried out his portion of the plan on the evening of April 14th, 1865.
He's that member of the group project.
That
Who
does
actually
all the
did
work.
Horrible, but yes.
That was me.
I know. It was me too.
You were the John Wilkes Booth of your friend group. Is that what you're fucking saying?
Horrible.
Is that what you're saying right now?
Amanda was the entertainment. Amanda, we all know which role Amanda played in her
I was
group.
down on stage with no clue what was going on.
Someone had to execute.
Someone
was-
had to present.
Definitely in the theater, but I was not part of it.
Oh, no.
And I was there completely by accident. I stumbled upon it.
You were in search of more popcorn.
I didn't even know I had an
Oh, that
assignment.
was today?
Yeah, I did not even know I had an assignment.
Shit.
I knew I was forgetting something.
Popcorn falling out of your mouth. Wait, that was today?
Wait,
It's like your donut picture from the bachelorette party.
1,000%.
Can we get a discount on our valet?
She's getting married.
The donut series photos
It's the best.
are so good. And
They're so good.
We've posted them before, but we'll post them again. Okay.
My favorite
we will.
photo of Amanda.
We'll post them
By
again.
far.
I don't give a fuck.
You're
I got
so
no shame.
beautiful. But that is my favorite photo.
Okay.
You guys,
so
this photo is shocking. It's also on our Patreon if you want to check it out.
it's so good. I love just the series zoomed in.
The zooming in on your mouth.
Okay. So
Look like a cartoon from like Bobby's World.
Ow! I hit my head on my microphone. God damn it. Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
we're good.
Okay. So the other members of this group project did not pull their weight, and
Classic.
one of them never even attempted to assassinate the vice president.
Classic.
I literally just spit all over my
So that was Amanda, and then the other
Amanda
one
was the stoner who showed up for the first time in a month and was like, wait, what presentation?
What class is this?
Oh, I'm in this class?
Oh, shit.
You know what? Give me the note cards. I got it.
I got it. Oh, fuck it. We'll do it live. And then guess what? Got an A.
Yeah, exactly. You were never punished for it. Okay, so then the third one tried really hard to kill the Secretary of State.
Enter the Kenyan.
Yeah. He attacked and stabbed Seward repeatedly, but
my
failed
God.
to kill him. Which
Jesus.
I didn't know about any of this other stuff. Did you? I just thought it
No.
was John
I
Wilkes
didn't-
Booth.
I figured
solo.
lone wolf.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a whole class
A thing.
project.
Yeah. I did not know it was a class project either.
So
Neither
only-
did that other guy either.
No,
I guess.
I did not. We did not get the memo. Take
You gotta
a memo,
read the syllabus.
sweetheart. Did not read the syllabus.
Okay, so only a few hours after shooting Lincoln, police arrived at the Surratt boarding house, having been tipped off that it was the center of this Confederate activity. And the conspirators had already fled, but Mary was still there, 'cause where she fucking lived. And she lied to the detectives, telling them that her son, John Jr., had been in Canada for 2 weeks and like, she didn't know anything and he couldn't have been involved. 2 days later, federal soldiers arrived to search the townhouse, and they didn't find John Jr., but in Mary's room, they discovered a picture of John Wilkes Booth hidden behind another photograph, which is like, why?
Why
Like-
did we do this?
Yeah.
What is the fucking point?
As well as
Maybe
a picture.
she had a crush on him.
Yeah.
Kept his little lithograph back there.
Like literally,
Sure.
yeah. She's wanking off.
My God.
her jerk-off box.
Yeah.
Oh,
As well as pictures of Jefferson Davis and other Confederate leaders. So she had her little inspo box.
She was kinky.
her magazine cuttings of her
Ew.
favorites.
Oh my God. Also in her room, they discovered a pistol and a mold for making bullets. Like, literally nothing has changed. This is just the ghost guns of today.
Right.
Yeah.
And as Mary was being taken into custody for conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln, Lewis Powell, the one who had attempted to kill the Secretary of State and stabbed him a bunch but didn't actually kill him, arrived. So Mary claims she didn't know him as he rocked up to her house.
I don't know this guy.
She's literally being arrested.
Yeah, I don't claim him.
And
He rocked up to her house.
nobody had cell phones. They couldn't be like,
Obviously.
Powell, that guy, claimed that he'd been hired as a ditch digger. He's like, I'm here to do some landscaping.
He just starts digging in the middle of the
I'm the gardener.
in the middle of the fucking yard. Like, don't mind me. Hired to work here. All is well. This is the most botched
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
The cops are like, it's 11 p.m.
You're
On a
wearing a
Tuesday.
top hat.
Sir.
But the authorities were suspicious and they arrested him as well.
You don't say.
So eventually, 8 people in total were arrested for the conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln. John Jr.
Like
got
Lincoln, etc. It wasn't
Yeah.
just Lincoln.
Right.
At all.
Right. Lincoln et al. The whole government. The top brass.
My God.
Most of the cabinet.
John Jr. had actually successfully fled to Canada and then later to Europe. So he successfully got out of Dodge.
Bye-bye.
So the trial for the co-conspirators was in front of a military tribunal, and it began on May 9th, 1865. Surratt, Mary, was charged with abetting, aiding, concealing, counseling, and harboring her co-defendants.
In alphabetical order. That's serious.
You know they mean business when they alphabetize your charges.
Harboring and ziplining her co-defendants.
Ish.
Much of the evidence against her hinged on that guy, Powell, rocking up at really the wrong time after having just attempted to kill the Secretary of State.
Why do I imagine Powell as the QAnon shaman?
Totally.
In this retelling.
The least inconspicuous outfit.
He shows up in that outfit to be the gardener at the...
He's just howling.
Don't mind me.
God, that guy is so
Knife in
fucking
hand.
obnoxious.
So fucking pathetic. I hate these people.
I'm here to grade your lawn.
I am supposed to install a French drain.
Oh, I have
I
those.
hear
They're
your
great.
sump
They're
pump
great.
isn't working properly.
Love
Your
a French
gutters
drain.
are looking a little. I'll take care of that. Don't mind me.
What?
I'll be in and out.
Was
Who
assassinated?
are you? It's 11
I
p.m.
hadn't heard.
He's just topless with big horns.
Blouseless.
Blouseless.
Okay. So also evidence against her was that she'd made 2 trips to Surrattsville to collect debts. So she was like going back and forth between Surrattsville, which they knew was like a Confederate hub, and then her own tavern. They knew what she was doing. So on her first trip, she told John Lloyd, quote, "Get the shooting irons ready,"
Oh God, what does that even mean?
Are those guns?
which was a reference to weapons and ammunition that had been hidden at the tavern. So she was telling him, like, it's on, like, this is about to start, we're about to go.
Oh God.
And on the second trip, which occurred on the day of the assassination, she delivered a package to Lloyd that John Wilkes Booth had given her, and it contained a pair of binoculars.
Helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
These were his opera glasses.
Yo.
So this Lloyd guy was also arrested in connection with the conspiracy, but he wasn't charged because he fucking sang like a canary and became a big witness for the prosecution.
Good boy.
So the defense attempted to show that Mary was loyal to the Union and that her trips to Surrattsville were like innocent, and that she hadn't been aware of Booth's plans and he was just like randomly staying there. And
it was her town.
Well, yeah.
To be fair, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just the fact that she went there that was the problem. It was everything else. And also, like, you have his lithograph hidden in your bedroom.
In your spank bank.
Ish. His sensual lithograph is hidden in your spank bank.
God.
Whoa.
Mary's daughter Anna testified for the defense and denied ever overhearing any discussions of any disloyal activities. And she claimed that even though Booth came to the house all the time, his visits were always short.
I bet.
Okay.
He's like, hey, they weren't that short.
Always lasted at least 6 minutes.
Yeah,
6 to 10.
My
6 to
meetings,
10.
my clandestine
10.
meetings were at least 6 minutes long.
We cuddled.
You said you didn't like foreplay.
Yeah. You told me to get to it. You were busy. Don't blame
If anyone
me.
says they don't like foreplay,
said
You're
you
just
didn't
really
like-
bad at it.
yeah, you're bad at it. They don't want it from you.
They don't want your play.
You said you didn't like foreplay.
So anyway.
Losing my fucking mind. This case.
Stupid.
So ridiculous.
What is this the first of, even?
Getting to it.
Oh my God, I forgot. I forgot the whole episode.
So Surratt was ill the last 4 days of the trial, so she was given permission to stay in her cell rather than be present, like, in the courtroom. She had... I shouldn't laugh.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
She was sick with debilitating menstrual cramps.
Oh, been there. Been
Every
there.
track meet ever.
It's like...
She never showed up for gym.
It's like, girl, same, and that is valid. It is, so I should not
super
laugh.
valid. But also a really convenient excuse, too.
Right, but when you're on trial for assassinating the president, it's very funny.
I can't go to gym or my assassination trial. I have cramps.
Oh my God!
I
So
can't run the mile.
I
the
can't
mile.
run the mile. I have cramps.
So ultimately, the military tribunal found her guilty of all charges except for 2. I think she got off on the zip lining, and she was sentenced to death. And she was the first woman to receive the death sentence from the U.S. federal government.
Now we got there. Okay. Wow.
Oh.
However, 5 of the 9 judges who handed down her sentence signed a letter asking President Johnson to give her clemency and commute her sentence to life in prison because of her age and sex.
Maybe she was like, just fucking kill me. These cramps are awful.
I can't do this.
Also, like, it's gotta suck when you're asking for clemency from the guy that you were just convicted of trying to kill.
Yeah.
Awkward.
So Johnson would later claim that he never received the letter. Clemency who?
Must have got lost in the
Clemency.
mail. I don't know.
That's so weird. Weirdest thing.
So he reportedly stated as he signed her execution order, quote, "She kept the nest that hatched the egg."
Oh,
ick.
That's cold.
In the days
Wow.
leading up to her execution, Surratt repeatedly insisted on her innocence. She spent the final night of her life in her cell with her daughter Anna and 2 Catholic priests. So she was allowed like these visitors. Around 8 a.m. in the morning.
Sorry. It's not like it's too soon. Jesus.
No, I mean, this bitch, we can make fun of her. She's trying to fucking kill the president. We're good. But I just... Sleepover.
Oh my God.
Let's play MASH.
So which priest do you want? There's one for each of us.
Marry, fuck, kill.
Light as a feather.
Mary,
stiff as a
fuck,
burr.
kill, Lincoln, Johnson, and Seward.
They have those little paper.
I requested pizza rolls for my last meal. I know everybody loves them.
With ranch.
Oh my God, I married John Wilkes Booth.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, I am not well.
How does anybody listen
But
to
like,
this?
I'd fuck Abe Lincoln.
Whatever. We just helped
Lincoln.
somebody ace their like American history fucking title. Okay, you're welcome.
Oh my God. Okay. So, so Anna's screams of grief as her mother is being led away could be heard throughout the prison. Blah, blah, blah.
No.
That whole thing. Fuck her. Bye bye bye.
I feel
bye,
sorry
bye,
for the
bye.
daughter, but that's about it.
So she was scheduled to be executed by hanging alongside those two co-conspirators that I told you about, Lewis Powell and George Atzerodt, and then also another guy, David Harold. There are a lot of names. We couldn't get to all of it.
John David Booter.
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Before Powell was hanged, he said, quote, "Mrs. Surratt is innocent. She doesn't deserve to die with the rest of us."
Turns out she does. Bye.
Yeah. Surratt's last words, which she spoke to a guard as he moved her into place for her hanging. And like, there are photos, and we'll have to discuss
Photos?
if we can. Yeah, if we can.
Are they on the drive?
If we can put these on the blog, but there are photos of her being led on the scaffold, and she's basically wrapped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's got like a hood, her arms are tied behind her back, and her legs are tied together.
She's like in a straitjacket almost.
Yeah, it's her gown, I think.
Yeah, it's
but-
like her big
Well,
black
she's
gown.
way tied up more than they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
It's pretty gruesome.
that is creepy.
That's way
Yeah.
creepy.
The umbrella photo is creepy too.
Yeah, yeah. So her last words, speaking to the guard, where she's got this hood on and she's all wrapped up, were, "Please don't let me fall."
Oh, this picture is them dangling.
Yeah. But also, like, that's the point.
Well, right.
So after her mother's death, Anna Surratt moved out of the townhouse, which was like torn apart by souvenir seekers. People just like broke in and started taking shit from it.
Shit.
And she was like ostracized from society and basically like couch surfed for a while.
She spent a few months in Italy.
Oh my God.
And the stress of, this is sad, but the stress of her mother's arrest and execution left Anna mentally unbalanced. And throughout the rest of her life, she suffered from, quote, periods of extreme fear that bordered on insanity.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bummer. Like,
Yeah.
that really sucks. I wish this fucking lady's child hadn't gotten swept up in how horrible this
I don't
turned
know
out.
how old Anna was when all this happened. She was definitely at least a teenager.
Right.
Possibly
she was
early
affected
20s.
by this. Yeah.
Right. But like, yeah, who knows? There's no evidence that she was like actively taking part in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
She probably lied on the stand, but like, whatever.
But also, like, growing up around all of these, like, conspiracies might sort of, like, really jostle your idea of, like, security and what is true and what is not true. So I can see why that would really fuck her up.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
she has no protector anymore. Her dad was a bum and then he died. Her mom was the first woman to be executed. And she's like a household name. And her eldest brother pieced the fuck out and is on the run in Europe. Like, that's not easy.
Yeah.
So eventually, John Jr. was arrested and extradited back to the U.S., and he stood trial in a civilian court, which failed to reach a verdict in his case. And the charges were dismissed, and he married and had kids, and then lived near Anna and became more a part of her life. Some historians believe that Mary Surratt was kind of convicted in place of her son, and that if he had turned himself in, they might have gone easier on her. You know, like if John Jr. hadn't fled because of like patriarchy, they could have been like, he was the one forcing her to let them have these meetings at her townhouse.
Yeah, maybe.
So they took it out a little bit on her because they couldn't on him.
I think she had agency, and I think it was fair, and she was involved completely. But like, she probably could have gotten off if he had been there to take the fall.
Yeah, literally.
Mary Surratt's boarding house is still standing and was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2009, and there's a photo of it on the drive.
Ooh.
Yeah, just like a pretty DC building with like a very creepy small child in front of it.
Yeah, what the fuck is with that baby?
I don't know.
What's going on with this baby?
What's going on with this
baby? The fuck is going on with that baby?
Ew.
That
it's
is
like a ghost.
really fucking unsettling.
Yeah.
What? The sunken eyes.
So that's my case.
No.
Nice.
Wait,
Nice
but
job.
the case of this baby.
I don't know. I don't have info on the baby. No intel.
Okay, but the baby looks like a digitally shrunken down full man.
It looks like it looks
its
like
proportions are unsettling.
the proportions are really off.
no sense.
I know, it's like
tiny soldier man.
it's like fucking with my brain.
I hate it. I have to close this picture. Well, I have to anyway, except to do my case. But holy shit, that kid.
Taking a picture and making it my background.
No.
So anyway, yeah. First woman to be executed by the U.S. federal government.
Nice.
Wow,
That was
that-
interesting.
That story was epic.
I love it when you do historical cases, which is like always, but
And then
always
we
love it.
can't follow them, so we have to create a narrative that we can relate to, we meaning me, and then it just goes fully fucking off the rails. It's my favorite.
Pretty much.
Oh, good job.
Oh my God,
right.
our social media manager and producer, Andrea, just texted me saying Marjorie Taylor Greene called police the Gestapo or Gazpacho instead of the Gestapo.
We know.
We know.
I'm letting her know. We'll get to it.
Well, let's take a quick break for some ads. Why don't we?
I love it. What would you do if you didn't have high interest loans or credit card debt?
What wouldn't I do?
Right? Sleep through the night, for one. Well, with Upstart, you can pay off your existing debt quickly and easily and start living your life. Start sleeping through the night.
Yes. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, and it's all done online. So whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Speaking of sleeping well at night, you know when this is going to be paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than looking at credit score alone, Upstart considers other factors like your income, your current employment, and credit history to find you a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in just minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. Who could not use a chunk of cash right now?
$50,000.
Yes,
Oh
please.
my God.
You can even receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. So what are you waiting for?
I love it. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/gals. That's upstart.com/gals. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/gals and treat your debt.
Trade up. Emails, laundry, groceries, cooking, cleaning, litter boxes. The list goes on.
Yeah.
There is a lot that's on your to-do list, but what really should be at the top? The answer is you, honey.
Mm-hmm.
It's you. So this year, put yourself first with the help of Dipsy.
Dipsy is a pleasure fountain. Big fan. Dipsy Stories is an app full of sexy audio stories, and now they even have brand new written stories.
Love the written stories.
Yeah, I like to read quietly before bed, and this has opened a whole new world. No matter who you're into or what turns you on, Dipsea helps bring the stories to life anytime, anywhere. Close your eyes and let yourself get lost in a world where only good things happen and pleasure is your only priority. Explore your fantasies in a safe, shame-free way. I just love this so much. Mm-hmm. And there are hundreds of stories to choose from, and they release new content every week. So there's always more to explore. It doesn't get stale. You can really find out what you're into. And they also have wellness sessions to help you wind down and explore, and sleep sessions to help you drift off. They really just have changed the game of self-care.
That is self-care, baby. Mm-hmm. So for listeners of this show, Dipsea is offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/gals. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to dipseastories.com/GALS. One more time, that's dipseastories.com/gals, and treat your well-being.
Treat it.
So we're well into the new year now, and maybe some of our resolutions are kind of dropping to the wayside. Have I gone for a walk every day this year? No, absolutely not.
It's too cold.
I've come up with every excuse in the book, trust me. But one resolution that I made that is so easy to stick to, there's really no excuse not to, is being more hydrated. So there's no better way to kick off 2022 or to keep kicking that can down the 2022 road than by making sure you're feeling like your best self.
Honestly, Liquid IV has changed my game. You know I don't like to drink water, okay? I'm saying it. It's out there. I like a flavor. I like, if it's bad for you, I probably like it. I would drink 5 cups of coffee and then be like, well, you use water to make coffee, so...
But you need the flavor. You need something dynamic. Boring is not for you.
No, it's not. And I have a bunch of different, packs of Liquid IV now, so I can kind of switch it up. They make different ones if you're focusing on, energy, and they make really good flavors. The lemon lime is one of my favorites. And I actually got one of the Liquid IV water bottles, so I don't even have to think about is this actually 16 ounces? How much water am I supposed to put in this? Because it's the perfect water bottle for filling it, putting in your Liquid IV, give it a little shake, and the water bottle keeps it nice and cold. I'm obsessed. And 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone, which also makes the water just work harder for you without you having to chug it in massive amounts all day. So it contains 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. It has 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's made with premium ingredients. It's non-GMO, completely gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. It's amazing. And it's so effective because of the science of cellular transport technology. So this is designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into the bloodstream. So 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water, like I said, hydrates faster and more efficiently the water all by itself. And one of my absolute favorite things about this company in general is that Liquid IV is on a mission to change the world. Water is not necessarily super accessible to everyone. And so making sure that water can go as far as possible in keeping you healthy and hydrated is part of their mission. So they have donated over 19 million servings globally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Work smarter, not harder, people.
Exactly.
So grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use our code WINECRIME at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code WINECRIME at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today at liquidiv.com, promo code WINECRIME, and treat your hydration.
Treat it. So, are you ready for my case?
Maybe.
Possibly.
It all circles back. Okay. There's no murder necessarily.
Okay.
Or government overthrow necessarily.
Okay. But there's aviation, so you've alluded.
There's a fuck ton of aviation. Because today, I'm going to be reliving my childhood history report dreams with more swears and theories, Because I am talking about our girl, Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly over the Atlantic Ocean alone.
Wow. Nice.
Solo.
Nice.
So, Amelia's spicy. I'm excited about this. Amelia was born on July 24th, 1897, 18 years before the year of our Helen.
Oh my God. Wow, that puts it into perspective.
It really does.
Okay.
In Atchison, Kansas. You said Kansas. Is that right? Kept popping into my head.
You said Kansas.
Kansas.
Is that right?
Kenyon screaming on the phone with an automated phone line,
Tanzania.
trying to activate like her credit card to work in Tanzania. You said Kansas. Is that right? No.
Literally over and over again. You said Kansas. Is that right? I was losing it.
You said Kansas.
Kansas.
Is that right?
I've never seen Kenyon more angry. It was so fucking funny. It was so fucking funny. Okay, anyway. So Amelia was a fearless kid and defied gender roles from the beginning. She loved working on cars, playing basketball, and even enrolled in college, which in the early 1900s was not common for women and girls. She served as a Red Cross nurse's aide in Toronto, Canada during World War I, and this was where she fell in love with aviation. She would watch pilots in the Royal Flying Corps training in Toronto and was fascinated. She returned to the U.S. after the war and enrolled at Columbia University's pre-med program with the hopes of becoming a doctor. But after taking her first airplane ride in California in December of 1920,
Yeah, there was this guy, Pletch. He was really
it
friendly.
was the weirdest thing. She got a golden ticket from Mr. Pletch.
My first aviation instructor.
Never looked back.
Such a professional. Professional.
Perplexional. I mean, we'll get to her
I was
aviation
perplexed.
instructor. I was perplexed. So she took this first flight and then she was like, this is it. I'm so in love with aviation. This is all I want to do. She said, quote, by the time I had got 200 or 300 feet off the ground, I knew I had to fly. By January of 1921, she had started flying lessons with Netta Snook, or it might be Nita, because I think her full name is Anita, but she went by Nita, who is a pioneer female aviator who is also responsible for a fuck ton of firsts. So we've got blended firsts here.
Okay.
The instructor, Nita, was the first woman aviator in Iowa. First woman student accepted at the Curtis Flying School in Virginia. First woman to run a commercial airfield. First woman to run her own aviation business. And that's the business that Amelia used to take her lessons.
This is amazing. Imagine being so smart and talented that you're like mechanical, brained. And then you also like could be a doctor and get into great schools. And then you also
business minded.
Yeah. Could
Entrepreneur.
be entrepreneur and also a fucking pilot. Amazing.
Yeah. She's kind of badass. So Amelia purchased her first airplane the same year and named the little yellow plane the Canary. She passed her flight test by the end of 1921 and almost immediately started setting records. So Amelia Earhart passed her flight test and started setting records when my grandmother was 6.
Oh
Jesus
my God.
fucking Christ.
I kept my brain kept hurting as I was writing these notes.
Oh my God.
And the way that we learned about Amelia Earhart is that this was like a million fucking years ago. I mean, that's like one of the huge problems with history taught in schools. It's all hitting me always.
Yeah.
It's always going to hit me. So in 1922, she became the first woman to fly solo above 14,000 feet. In 1932, she became the first woman and second person ever to fly solo across the Atlantic. The first one was Lindbergh, the Lindbergh baby, specifically. Mm-hmm. Just kidding.
Fascist Lindbergh.
The Lindbergh fascist. And upon her return, was awarded with the Distinguished Flying Cross from the U.S. Congress and was the first woman to receive that honor. That same year, she made the first solo trip across the United States as a woman, and the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to the mainland in the United States in 1935. So I think someone else flew to the island in Hawaii, and she returned from the island to the U.S.
And the first person, not just the first woman
Yep, correct.
Wow.
That'd be so scary. First of all, Hawaii is so fucking far away.
Yeah.
It is so dark at night.
There's not much in between.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, but if you love it,
Yeah.
you know?
You could listen to podcasts.
Yes, you could if it weren't 1933 or 35. But yes,
So I'm saying it would be horrible.
I know. I also wanted the tea on Amelia's love life, so I dove into that a little bit. She was extremely private about her romantic life, which makes a lot of sense as like a woman trailblazer, obvi. Like it's still a problem now. All you'll see of these people's accomplishments is like their sexual prowess. But I still want it because I'm American, so I went for it. So she married George P. Putnam, an American writer and publisher, in 1931. It was a bit of a scandal because George was divorced and rumor had it he'd left his first wife for Amelia, but in reality, George's first wife, Dorothy, had left him when she traveled to South America in 1927 and had an affair with a man 20 years younger than her, which, like, you go, girl.
I feel like this was
never came back.
Such like a scandalous time. People were really just like, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
A lot of like heirs and heiresses and like adultery and like, oh, my fifth husband. And
Yeah. And so much is shrouded in like speculation and just round robin storytelling because we didn't have social media or like anything to get it necessarily firsthand.
It was also really easy to poison people during this time.
The good old days. But this was like pretty well documented that she left, went to South America and had started an affair and never came home.
Became a cougar.
Good for her.
Which like good for her. But it was kind of scandalous because like the rumor mill was that George had left his wife for Amelia, but that's not actually what happened. But I think that George, and I'll kind of get to it, was like a little bit of a feminist because he didn't like put up a fight about people thinking that. He was like, fuck it, I'm not going to talk shit about my ex-wife. Like, if she's happy in South America with her like young hot hunk that she is now with, great. I'm going to just like sign off on this divorce and move on with my life. And I'm not going to like fuel the fucking
rumor mill.
Yeah, exactly.
And also like get with this woman who is so independent and has such a name for her on her own.
And he was like supportive. And we'll get to it. I was like, okay, George.
Okay.
Hi. So these two were married, Amelia and George, and this is from Wikipedia, quote, Earhart's ideas on marriage were liberal for the time, as she believed in equal responsibilities for both breadwinners and pointedly kept her own surname.
All right.
GP, as she called him, so George Putnam, she called him GP.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Goop. Goop, as she called him, soon learned that he would be called Mr. Earhart. And he just like didn't give a shit. He was like, cool, yeah, my wife's fucking badass.
Yeah.
At least from what I could see. I didn't dive too deeply into him. Maybe he was like really annoyed about it, but I didn't see anything to that effect on his like little pages I went to, so I'm just going to cling to this illusion. Anyway, George worked hard almost as like her manager. He'd set up tours and appearances, speaking engagements, and like get her paid with his vast publishing contracts because he was like well known in New York. He's well known fucking everywhere. He's connected.
Sweet. But I mean, sounds like a power couple.
Putnam Press is still a major
literally
publisher.
Yes. Yep. And that's his family. Like that's him. So though these two didn't have children, George had two sons with his previous wife Dorothy, and Amelia loved them dearly and treated them as her own. In a later published letter from Amelia to George right before they got married in 1931, many Amelia fans now wonder if she was even more progressive in her views of marriage than we thought. Here is the letter. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. It is pure spice and I fucking love it. So I'm going to read it and we are going to pause after every short paragraph to just make sure we're on the same page about what this bitch means.
Okay.
It needs to be clear.
Okay.
Quote, there are some things which should be writ before we are married. Things we have talked over before. Most of them. You must know again my reluctance to marry. My feelings that I shatter thereby chances in work, which means most to me. I feel the move just now as foolish as anything I could do. I know there may be compensations, but have no heart to look ahead.
Okay, she's not a great writer.
No, but I love it.
But she's got a
But also
million
the
other
time.
skills.
So
And
she's
a million
like,
other skills.
a million other skills. She doesn't want to get married because she wants to focus on her job. She's very ambitious. She's goal oriented. And I love that she's like, I hear there are benefits to marriage, but I'm not seeing them in my future.
Yeah,
like, I don't fucking know.
I'm really not super on board, and I just want to get that in writing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how it starts.
Okay.
Second paragraph. On our life together, I want you to understand I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me, nor shall I consider myself bound to you similarly.
Ooh.
If we can be honest, I think the difficulties which arise may be best avoided should you or I become interested deeply or in passing in anyone else.
Open marriage.
She's gay. She's gay.
You think?
That's what I
Maybe.
get from this. She's gay.
I don't know if
Maybe.
she's necessarily gay, but she might be like, you know, sexuality is a spectrum. I wouldn't be surprised if Amelia Earhart like ate incredible pussy and also fucking rode incredible dick. I give her all of the
She's
range.
good at everything.
But I
Yeah,
just
but
love
also
that.
I feel like there weren't that many like straight out I'm a full lesbian because they'd probably have to like marry a guy for any reason. You know, like,
I'm sure in
put out every now and
1931,
then,
yeah, if
whatever.
she were gay, she's fucking not saying shit about it.
Right.
But I
Who
think
knows?
this is as outwardly gay that you could say to your husband.
I
You
feel
do
like-
you, I'll do me.
I don't want to assume her sexuality,
Right.
and so
No,
I'm
not.
just
This is what this is just my interpretation of this.
Right. I
Yeah.
think it's unquestionably she wants an open marriage.
right. That's the key point. Her sexuality is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to speculate in that capacity. I don't care who she's fucking, but
Right.
she's like, and I also love that it's like, I'm about to marry you and your former wife left you for another man. Let's just get something out of the way. If we're going to do this
Right.
and we need to step out, that's all right. Let's just not worry about it. And you will be each other's number one. Like, we're just going to be the number one and do our thing. Which I'm like, fuck yes. Next paragraph. Please do not let us interfere with the other's work or play, not let the world see our private joys or disagreements. In this connection, I may have to keep some place where I can go to be myself now
a room
and then.
of one's own.
Thank God.
For I cannot guarantee to endure at all times the confinements of even an attractive cage.
These
yeah.
should have been my marriage vows.
I want these to be my fucking vows. They're so beautiful. I'm like, yes, get your own space, get your cottage, get your room, your she shed.
Your
Yeah.
she shed.
Get what you need. Your airplane hanger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I cannot agree to endure at all times the confinements of even an attractive cage.
Like, even though
Yeah.
we're gonna get the most beautiful house ever because you're
Right.
from like a powerhouse publishing family,
Right.
I
still
need
am
my
gonna
own
need
space.
my fucking space.
Yep. I'm obsessed. Okay, this is the last line. I must exact a cruel promise, and that is if you will let me go in a year if we find no happiness together. So she's like, I want to give this a year-long trial and then fucking cut it loose if we hate each other after a year. I will try to do my best in every way and give you that part of me you know and seem to want.
Okay, now I know we're not speculating on people's sexuality.
But if we were,
This paragraph is bringing me over into the Lucy camp.
it kind of makes you wonder.
I've read a couple of articles about her being gay in the past with like Eleanor Roosevelt or something. They were like
Yeah.
they were like besties. They like left a party at the White House and like went joyriding in her airplane, and it was like kind of like naughty. Not
Erotic.
suggesting
So
that
Amelia
she was a
Earhart
lover of.
Ate out Eleanor Roosevelt.
Roosevelt
suggesting-
absolutely did have sex with women.
Oh, yeah. They were in the Mile High Club together, and I love that theory.
Another
I
first.
just think that there was
Another
a.
first.
So many
I think that
airplanes,
there
so
was
many
like
presidents.
There was like a group of like high class queer ladies during this time in this area, and she
I'm
was
here for it.
definitely in it.
I'm here for Amelia Earhart being a queer icon. Like, fucking here for it.
I mean, to me, this paragraph reads as they haven't had sex yet, She's going to give it a go, but she's not making any promises. And if she hates it, or if he's bad at
cut her
sex,
loose. Yeah.
1 year and she's out.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%. And like, I mean, maybe I'm just simping for George Putnam a little bit, but like, there's a picture of them on the drive, George and Amelia.
What does simping mean?
Like shipping or like
wants them to be together.
Inappropriately like lusting. Like people simp for serial killers and shit. Like it's like problematic.
Like sympathizing?
Like problematic like sexual attraction kind of.
Oh, okay.
Why is it problematic? Does he end up being bad?
I mean, I'll finish this sentence and it will circle back. So, but
they're
like,
cute together.
There's a picture of them on the drive where George is like taking Amelia's arm, and I just feel like like I said, he's like a subtle feminist of his time, and they had this like hot, trusting, open queer marriage, maybe. But also, I assume that he and like, frankly, likely Amelia were deeply problematic because they're like white people from the 1930s. So I'm sure I'm just like clinging to an illusion. But I am definitely painting a picture of this like powerhouse, now definitely on the queer spectrum couple.
They're cute in this little
1930s.
picture. And maybe they're
super
just
cute.
like, they're just best friends, partners.
Yeah.
Occasionally lovers, maybe everything's a spectrum, but you can see they like each other.
Marriage only has to be what you fucking make it.
Yeah.
And if he clearly agreed to this because they got married, she wasn't forced to marry him.
She was very clear.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm kind of here for it. So they didn't split up after a year, and he ended up her widower after what she is most known for, her historic first woman-piloted flight around the world that ended in a tragedy shrouded in mystery.
Okay, so I never like kept it straight in my mind. So she successfully completed the flight across the Atlantic and this Hawaii flight, and that's why she was such a household name. And then later, she was trying to do around the world and disappeared.
Yeah, and not that much later. It was like we'll get to it. It's in 1937. Like she's in 35. She completed that Hawaii trip back to the U.S. and was the first person to
she proved her shit before she disappeared.
And then 2 years later, she's like, I'm teaming up with fucking Fred Noonan or whatever his name is. I have it written down here. And we're doing this. We're going around the world in an airplane.
Got it. Because there are like some men's rights asshats who have said like, why do we care about Amelia Earhart just because she like couldn't fly a plane? Like blah, blah, blah. But
like fuck you, dude. She could fly a plane.
Fully flew planes a lot better than any other man.
Yeah, fuck that. And if we'll get to it, but like if men's rights activists need to shut the fuck up, the one of the theories about this crash is that they like got off course and her navigator was a dude. So whose fucking fault was that?
Love it.
So, according to History.com, Amelia and her navigator, Fred Noonan, took off on June 1st, 1937 from Oakland, California to Miami, Florida. From there, they flew from Miami to South America, then across the Atlantic to Africa, and she had already flown across the Atlantic at that point, so she's familiar with this. Then from Africa to India and Southeast Asia, and they safely reached it's like a coastal town of Lae in Papua New Guinea on June 29th of 1937. So they're
holy
like
fucking shit. Okay,
they
made
did
it from
most
California to Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, and they had, at this
in
point
just a few weeks.
in just a few weeks, and at this point they had completed 22,000 miles of their trip and only had 7,000 miles to go before returning to the starting point in Oakland. So they were like fucking almost done.
Yeah,
it's so sad. They rested in Lae and left on July 2nd for a refueling stop on Howland Island, which is teeny, 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 tiny. And leaving Lae would be the last time Amelia was seen alive. The two disappeared, lost all contact with the Coast Guard, and were never heard from again. A search for their craft or any signs of life was launched by FDR, so basically Amelia's lover's husband. That went on for several weeks before Amelia and Fred were declared lost at sea. There are a lot of theories as to what happened to Amelia and Fred, so let's discuss. A popular theory is that the two never actually found Howland Island and ran out of gas while trying to search for their refueling stop, and the aircraft sank, and the remains were never found. Now, it's clear that they didn't make it to the island because nobody ever saw them on the island. So, like, all of these theories are she left Papua New Guinea and disappeared. They didn't make it to the fueling stop.
Leaving Papua New Guinea.
Correct. And going in the direction of Howland Island to reach this fueling stop.
So there's no chance that they just were like, let's chill in Papua New Guinea.
No, they didn't stay there. This was a pretty popular theory that just like crash, sink, middle of the ocean. We can't find anything. But it's also becoming less likely because the advancement of technology has allowed us to search these areas extensively over the last few decades. Like, people are still searching now for the fucking answer to what the fuck happened to Amelia and Fred.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're using super, super upgraded technology like deep sea robots, deep sea high-tech sonar. Like,
we've all seen Titanic.
We'll get to the Titanic because that actually is relevant here.
But they also never found that Malaysian flight that went down, and they know like pretty much exactly where that went down.
I know.
Like
it's
the
really
ocean is
weird.
fucking nuts.
The ocean
is fucking nuts.
Vast and deep.
And we have not explored nearly all of it.
Yeah.
But in the areas that they're looking, at least, they're able to like scan the ocean floor, like the sea floor for wreckage with a pretty damn big radius around Howland Island. And they have not found a speck of evidence of this wreck.
That's wild.
It's so wild.
So maybe they got so far off course.
Maybe. And, there's more. So TIGAR, or the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, also believes that Amelia and Fred didn't make it to Howland Island and instead crashed near Gardner Island, about 350 miles southwest of Howland Island. I always want to say Howard, but I got to tell my brain that's not right. This island, tell my brain. Gardner Island is now called Nikumaroro and is located in the Republic of Kiribati. But at the time, it was completely uninhabited. And I don't think it's very inhabited now, but it's like at least accessible. On one of the search and recovery flights in the weeks after their disappearance, it was reported that signs of, quote, habitation were seen on the uninhabited island, but no signs of an airplane or wreckage nearby, leading some to believe that the plane went down offshore and they washed up on this island and survived for an unknown period of time before dying.
Oh my
God.
I love this theory.
This is actually, to me, and most experts, this is the most plausible. And there's
2 months into being on the island, she's writing to Fred in the sand going, I don't believe in monogamy.
I gotta go.
I know that we're washed up on this desert island, but I gotta be me. I still need my own space.
Even the most beautiful cage.
She constructs her own she shed on the island.
I mean,
just seashells.
God, this poor woman. I can't.
She shell shed.
Yep. So expeditions to this island have turned up some compelling evidence to support this theory, including a piece of plexiglass that could have come from their plane, but can't be confirmed. There's photos of the plexiglass on the drive. A woman's shoe dating back to the 1930s, some improvised tools, a woman's cosmetics jar dating back to the 1930s, and a smattering of human bones.
Oh.
Now, I wonder if this was just like wash-up debris of unknown origin or even of Amelia and Fred.
Right, but still only just washed up and they weren't actually physically on the island.
Yes. And we don't have access to DNA testing, and we don't have access to these bones now, even if we could procure like familial DNA.
Right.
But like you can't even necessarily extract DNA from just bones 100 years later almost. You know what I mean? Like we're just kind of fucked on this. But so it could have been washed up debris of unknown origin because if they survived and then died on the island, even if they were picked away by animals, I feel like more bones would be recovered if 2 full humans died on this island and they got like 13 bones. But it's also like exposed to the elements, rain.
One of them could have died and they could have.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe Amelia survived the crash. Or like maybe Amelia survived the crash and made it to the island and he didn't.
Right.
You know, and that would account for
the shoe
only
and the
one
makeup.
set of, and like one set of bones. Searches have continued up until like COVID. Like people were actively out there looking until it was basically like, okay, we can't spend money on this right now, but we will.
How do you get that as your job?
Yo, I don't know, but I want it. Cadaver dogs were brought there in 2017 and found nothing. And the same guy who found the Titanic was hired to look in 2019 and found no like plane wreckage in that area. But the skeletal remains recovered have been studied numerous times and seem to keep pointing to Amelia. So this is from NPR. Quote, Richard Jantz, a professor emeritus
Yes.
of anthropology and director emeritus of the University of Tennessee's Forensic Anthropology Center, took a closer look at data gathered in 1940 from skeletal remains recovered by a British expedition in Nikumaroro. The British found a human skull, humeri, and radii, both arm bones.
You are nailing these pronunciations.
Apparently, a little bit of Canadian whiskey helps. A tibia and fibula from the lower leg, and 2 femurs, aka thigh bones,
which are connected to the
hip bone. The bones were sent to Fiji, where they were examined and measured by physician D.W. Hoodless. But the bones themselves are long gone. After Hoodless examined them and determined them to be from a stocky European male, they disappeared.
What?
The assumption is that either he or someone else in Fiji discarded them, and Jantz, working with the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery, TIGAR, which has been big into Earhart research for years, ran the measurements taken by Hoodless 80 years ago through forensics, quote, computer program for estimating sex, ancestry, and stature from skeletal measurements. So he's just using the report information.
He's just using the written down numbers because the bones themselves are long gone.
Right.
So someone just fucking threw them away. Great.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Or took them home.
They could exist somewhere. That would be really fucked up. I'd rather they be tossed out accidentally than someone hoarding them all this time.
Ugh.
Anyway, so he ran them through this program in Knoxville. The analysis, quote, found that Hoodless had incorrectly determined the sex of the remains, which, like, it was 1940. Of course he fucking did. 4DISC is what this program is called, co-created by Jantz. It's used by nearly every board-certified forensic anthropologist in the United States and around the world. So it's, like, accurate. It's not, like, bogus science. Like, running it through this program is fucking legit. So if this program is saying that the bones are probably female, it's probably right.
I'm going to trust this program over that one fucking dude that lost the bones anyway.
Yeah, that male doctor in 1940 who lost the fucking bones. Not having it.
Sorry,
so
Hoodless.
This concludes by saying the data revealed that the bones have more similarity to Earhart than 99% of individuals in a large reference sample.
Whoa.
So, like, it's fucking her on that island.
So it wasn't a stocky European male.
No, it was just a normal-sized woman.
Jesus.
Which I'm sure this doctor just, like, couldn't wrap his head around. Like, they couldn't be a woman's bones. Anyway.
Who knows?
This was also a tumultuous political time between 2 world wars, and there were ample racially charged theories about the 2 being captured and executed by the Japanese. So this is from National Geographic. Quote, eyewitnesses claimed to have seen Earhart in a prison camp in Saipan, but physical evidence supporting their testimony is scarce. So some theories state that the 2 were actually spies for the Roosevelt administration and had to fake their disappearance and live elsewhere with new identities for their safety after being captured by the Japanese. Yeah. Honestly, if Amelia was a fucking spy, I want to know how she found the goddamn time.
She's way too famous.
She's so busy. She's so famous.
She's way too famous to have become a spy with a different identity.
I mean, she loves flying planes.
Face recognition in 1937.
Yeah, like, she's on the cover of so many newspapers around the world at that point.
That's dumb.
Exactly. But if they did crash land near the Marshall Islands, which would have been in the vicinity of the Howland Island, and the Marshall Islands at the time were under Japanese control, and they could have been captured under suspicion of being American spies. Like, it's not implausible. This is also from National Geographic. Quote,
it was also a little bit early, though. It was 1935. It wasn't like we weren't
like in it with the Japanese.
We weren't like at war with the Japanese yet.
Yeah.
No, we were not. It was just like leading up to a similar time. I think this is far-fetched, personally. But theory's gonna theory.
Right.
This says, quote, if she couldn't find Howland Island, plan B was to cut off communications and head for the Marshall Islands and ditch her airplane there, says Roland C. Reineck, a retired U.S. Air Force colonel who lives in Kailua, Hawaii. And he made this claim in 2003. This is him saying, like, well, if she was a spy, I know.
Yeah.
Like, I was in the Air Force, so here's what I think. I really don't know. My favorite and seemingly most scientific and plausible theory is the deserted island theory.
Mm-hmm.
I clearly also know nothing about geography because I have been walking around my whole life assuming they were sucked into the Bermuda Triangle.
Right, which apparently that's not even remotely where they were.
Not even
Not
close.
even a little bit close.
I thought that
It's
too.
the other side of the world.
I definitely also thought that Amelia Earhart disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle.
1000%.
You take
I
a
started-
pencil and go straight through the earth. It's closer to the Bermuda Triangle than where they were.
I was more than 2/3 of the way finished with my notes before I went, wait, where's the Bermuda Triangle theory?
And
then I started Googling.
Close to Bermuda.
I started
almost brought
Googling
it up.
Amelia Earhart Bermuda Triangle. Nothing was making sense. And then I was like, I'm going to Google on Google Maps, where is the Bermuda Triangle? And then I just went,
I think it's near
God.
Bermuda.
I've been lied to my whole life. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Clearly.
Come on, baby mama.
Right? I can't.
God.
Anyway,
Wow.
well, that's my case. I mean, she's
Wow.
fascinating. I just never really I haven't dived into this story since literally grade school. We were learning about
Yeah.
Amelia Earhart, and clearly I didn't talk about whether she was secretly a queer icon or stepping out on her husband. So I love this.
Yeah. Either way, she had very cool views on marriage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here for
Nice
it.
work. That was a good deep dive into that.
Interesting.
Thank you. Loved it. Yeah.
Well, really good topic, fan picker Ashlyn.
Fantastic.
This was fun. We had fun.
We have fun
Yes.
here.
Mm-hmm.
We have fun here at Wine and Crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers!
Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment your work stress disappears as you kayak through the canyons. Or the moment you discover the life-changing effects of prickly pear chocolate. But nothing beats the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the very first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.